Hey everyone, welcome back to another podcast episode of From Worry to Wealth. I'm Ben Lyons, your host, and I'm with my co-host Alex Fink.
Yes, you are. Hello, everybody.
Exciting.
Very.
And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the Wealth Creators Institute and all the attributes and everything you can learn and what the purpose of the Wealth Creators Institute is. And with that, we'll jump right into the episode. Okay, Alex Fink, good to see you today.
Good to see you, Benjamin.
Here we are talking again about Wealth Creators Institute, and the advice or the feedback that I've been given is, who are these guys and what qualifies them to give advice, financial advice on this road to wealth creation? And it's an interesting topic, right?
It is almost like you got to, share your credentials with people, get them to understand how powerful.
Maybe we start the podcast with the financial statements. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think a pile of money would do it.
A pile of money.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. You like the smell of money.
Yeah.
So we just put a pile of money in here. It's going to be great.
But I think in all seriousness, the fact that you and I have been at business and at the creation of wealth and at the accumulation of assets, and we have many years of trial and error.
For sure. Yeah.
And what would you say to people if they say, well, Alex, what makes you so smart? Why do you think you can help people on this journey?
What I would say is we're a product of many, many, many mistakes that we've made over many, many, many years. And we really want to share those lessons with people so they can garner some benefit from that, so they don't have to make some of the same mistakes. Everybody has to make mistakes, right? But given the way we've seen things play out, the pain that we've experienced over a long period of time, and how we've dealt with those situations and have come out, I don't want to say unscathed, but have come out better for it, right? I think that sort of qualifies somebody, right, to produce this type of podcast, because we've built businesses. You've built a ton of businesses. You've sold businesses, and you've made a ton of mistakes along the way. Why not take that information and share it with people so they could have better experience?
Yeah, and the premise from my book, Worry to Wealth, talked about our influencers, and that the influencers of our parents. Now, in your case, you had pretty successful parents, or your parents were?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So the question is, do we get this roadmap from our parents? Probably not, right?
Probably not. Yeah. Most people, probably not. Yeah.
Do we get it from our teachers at school?
Not a great roadmap to wealth, a teacher, for sure.
Do we get it from our employers who we go to work for?
No, they want us to work for them, not the other way around.
So then the question is, what happens if we go to work for a millionaire in some field? Let's pick Jamie Dimon, who's JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah.
If we were 25 and we went to work for Jamie Dimon, wouldn't we if we were directly reporting into Jamie?
Oh, our lives would be totally different.
Why would they be different?
Because you have this mover and shaker that has access to way more information and way more capability, and that relationship with that individual springboards all the people around them, right? And I feel the same way about people that have relationships with you, right? Because those folks would never have access to...
It's very sweet, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a sweet man. But would never have access... Very sweet. Would never have access to some of the businesses, some of the strategies. People just don't, when you're working for somebody, you've got this very provincial look at things, right? This narrow window into the overall company. But when you're working for or with the owner of the company, you now see this breadth of information, and life is almost like a puzzle, right? Where you got all these pieces and you got to piece it together. And if you don't see all the puzzle pieces, how could you build something yourself, right? You don't have that foundation of that breadth of experience and depth of knowledge in various areas, along with how those interrelate to each other. So I think by interacting and engaging with folks that own businesses and have served at the top of organizations, and built organizations and sold organizations, you have insights that you wouldn't otherwise have really at all.
So for us to create this Wealth Creators Institute, our mission then is to share what we've learned because we've organized it and we are trying to attract individuals that are asking the question, who do I talk to about this? What do I need to know? How do I execute on this? And how do I not make those same mistakes? Is that right? How do I not make those same mistakes?
Yeah, I think it's folks looking for guidance and looking for access to information and looking for mentorship and advice. And what we've done is distilled that down to a formula that's easily understood, that works regardless of somebody's profession, regardless of their situation in life. It's just a formula that's a tried and true standard that people can follow to get where they need to be. Now, it's up to those people to do that, right?
Yeah.
But we want to give people access to that information, allow them to build and grow with that information. And again, try not to make some of the same mistakes. So if you have a roadmap, and most people want a roadmap, they need a roadmap. The roadmap that they have is down a single lane highway, and it's going the same direction in the same way. And what we want to provide people is the capability of breaking out of that standard that people have. Life is what you make of it, right? You can mold life, you can change things. You don't have to go down the same path that everybody else is going down, right? And so for those people that want a different life, that want to achieve something, that want to take certain risks or don't want to take certain risks, all of those lessons and those fundamentals play into the same equation.
Yeah, well said. So what is it that we're going to offer people? How do we share with people this journey? So I'll open that statement up to say that it starts with people making an investment in themselves. And that means they have to learn. They have to learn how to drive on a 6-lane road, 8-lane road, as opposed to 1-lane road.
Yeah, and I think it's in some ways being aware, right? Because the lack of awareness of these principles that we're teaching and the enlightenment somebody gets from understanding these just core and basic principles paints a picture and creates an opportunity for somebody to break out of the norm, right? And this awareness that life doesn't have to be a single lane highway, or I don't have to just do this one thing, or I don't have to stay in my lane. Life can be changed. Life can be molded and shaped. It's not just this thing where get out of the way, do this. That's just what life is. Follow the same path. You can do all these things, but life is not something that's supposed to shape people. We are supposed to shape life, right? And so for those people that want to break out of that mold, I think that roadmap is incredibly important. And the awareness of being able to do that is huge.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember who said it, but they described it as most people are wandering generalities as opposed to meaningful specific, meaning they don't have a specific plan. Now, look, we can't get hung up on there's only one plan
For sure.
because our core competencies are all different.
Right.
So what we do at Wealth Creators Institute is we bring people in for about a period of a year. We measure their core competencies. We understand how they should best execute to scale their income and to accumulate assets. So for those listeners and viewers, what Alex and I are specifically doing with people is we're giving people a roadmap and this plan that's customized to the individual. And then what we're doing is something very different. And I'll share this, and then I'd love to get you to touch on this even further, is we first give you the information and the education to understand your journey. So how do you create more income and how do you accumulate assets? But then what do we do after that? After you learn it, we then support you to execute on it.
That's exactly right.
And we support you by providing capital, mentorship,
Opportunities too, business opportunities that might be out there. Certainly advice, lessons learned. The template is applicable to anyone. And people that have that template are going to have questions. And we're going to be here to answer those questions for those people. And if they join the community, they're going to be with a bunch of like-minded people that are also trying to achieve certain things. There's likely synergy there between those people in that community as well. And it's all about helping people achieve what they want to achieve and imparting to them the lessons and the wisdom that we've learned over the many years that we've screwed things up over a long period of time, right? And I think that's a powerful thing. And it starts with the awareness. And part of that awareness, I think you would agree, is helping folks understand their existing issues, their situation that they're in, their capabilities, and how they might track to improve performance over time. And by having just the fundamentals to do that and the awareness of the ability to do that, it provides a roadmap for them. And then the mentorship is just the icing on the cake, I think.
Yeah. So digging deeper, what we are going to do with, let's take an example. Let's pick a 26-year-old nurse, right? That nurse, let's say that nurse is living paycheck to paycheck because she has school debt or whatever, hypothetically, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
What this roadmap is to give this nurse the foundational knowledge that he or she may need in order to have good credit, learn how to scale his or her income, understand how to acquire assets. This is a whole broad range of assets. And really to help this nurse with financial awareness so that they can go on a journey from where they are to where they want to be. And it's tough to do with some professions, but how do you scale a nurse's income, right? I mean, let's talk about this. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
How do you take a nurse? Now, most nurses make good money depending on the type of nurse they are.
For sure.
But what's the advice for the nurse?
I think you have to break down the disposable income goals. Let's start with the roadmap, right? What are you trying to achieve over what period of time? You take the disposable income that you need and you start looking at solutions to solve that disposable income problem, right? Whether that's a reduction of expenses, whether that's seeking a promotion, whether that's maximizing time, because I think you would agree that people don't realize how much time they spend and what their time's worth and how to scale that, right? So it starts with the roadmap and the equation that we put together. And there may be opportunities for that nurse to build a team. There may be opportunities for that nurse to become a travel nurse, right? And by being a travel nurse, they can now double their income potentially, once they realize, okay, but I think it starts with the awareness of the disposable income that they need to achieve certain things. Once that equation is worked out and there's an understanding of what's needed, then I think it piques people's curiosity and it stimulates the ideas that produce the results that they need to scale. Because then you can get into leverage. How do I leverage my time? How do I leverage other people? What area of nursing might I go into that would allow me the flexibility to potentially even have a separate job or start another business at the same time, right?
And these are
So it doesn't have to be just a nursing thing, right?
Yeah.
It may be just an awareness that would allow somebody to start some other business that may be related or unrelated to their existing profession.
So in summary, would you say the Wealth Creators Institute is a place to focus on your financial self for those individuals that are looking to go from worry to wealth or to gain financial knowledge to create this path that they choose? It's the community that exists to help somebody's financial self.
That's right.
Unlike somebody's physical self, which would be a gym
Yep.
or some other
Yes.
physical fitness, not a spiritual place. That
Right.
that would be a religion.
Not an emotional
Not right.
help, right? Yes.
This is a place for financial to be better, have a
Right.
better financial self.
That's exactly right.
Awesome. We didn't talk a lot in this discussion about assets, and yours and my background is in accumulation of real estate, which is a pretty broad brushed statement.
Real estate and finance, right?
And finance,
Yeah.
yeah. But we've also started and owned enough businesses really to provide advice for any entrepreneur that's looking to create and scale a business.
Right.
And so that's part of it.
Yeah.
What do you think the right description of the student that should engage with Wealth Creators Institute? Who would you describe, or how would you describe that individual? For those listening and watching, who's the right person that should lean in and engage?
I think it's anyone that wants to improve their financial position. Anyone that I think this advice is probably helpful for anyone, regardless of whether or not they want to make a change, just for the awareness. But somebody that's going to maximize the benefit of the program wants to take action, wants to improve things, and has the desire and capability to do that. So I think initially having the awareness of what it takes to scale somebody's wealth is really, really important, because it provides context for people, right? So somebody just may want that context to say, hey, I'm going to stay in my lane, but I'm really glad I know that this other thing exists, right? But I'm not at the point in my life where I want to do that, right? I just want to stay in my lane. I want to keep going the way that I'm going. So I think the awareness is actually pretty helpful for people. But the target would be somebody that wants that needs to understand the formula that they could use to scale their wealth and to improve their financial position. And it's also somebody that wants to take steps to make that happen. And so I think it could be somebody, there's no age range, there's no demographic other than a need and a desire. That's it.
Yeah, we should remind all of the viewers and listeners that financial freedom isn't free.
That's right. That's right. Exactly right. It takes work, right? It takes getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, right? It takes an awareness of what's out there, and it requires action. And I mean, some people just won't take the action, but I think just the awareness is enough for people, right? And then they can decide, do I want to take action to improve things?
So there's a lot to unpack. We couldn't even in one podcast cover all the materials and all of the things that we teach. It would take 100 hours, maybe more.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But for those listeners and viewers, there are a few very important takeaways here. The first is something called the money positioning system, which is a free resource and a tool that we make available to everybody, where they can measure their net worth. They can measure their total assets and liabilities. They can measure their gross income and their expenses, so they can determine what their investable income is. And that gives us a starting point of somebody's financial IQ, because we have to measure where they are. Are they starting from a zero net worth? They have a negative net worth?
Yeah. Right.
We need to.
Do they have an income problem? Do they have an expense problem?
That's right.
Do they have an asset problem?
They may make $600,000 a year, but they may spend $600,000 a year.
They may spend $700,000. And that awareness is hugely important for those people, right? Because somebody that, and I think you would agree with this, somebody that makes $600,000 a year probably feels pretty wealthy. But after they map it all out and use the system, they may determine, wow, I've got some work to do. And that's an awareness, right?
It is an awareness. And part of the money positioning system, in addition to measuring assets and liabilities or net worth and disposable or investable income, we then also measure core competencies. Because the person that is left brain versus right brain, are you an analytical person? I think I'm more of a sales guy, right?
Yep.
And you're more of an engineer.
Yep.
I think our approach to things are different, which is what makes us a great partnership in business, because we can approach things potentially from different points of view. But we wouldn't give the same advice to an engineer as we would an artist.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no question. And the mentorship and the community that we have may find like-minded, like-positioned people to engage with that have made similar changes with that particular core competence, which is really nice.
Yeah, but at its core, I think we're solving for three problems. And those students that commit financial resources and time to the Wealth Creators Institute, the proposition that we're making to them is that we can increase their income. And I think we say tenfold. we think over time. Now, that's pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah.
The nurse,
Really ambitious.
the nurse that makes 80 grand, 800 grand may be a leap.
Mm-hmm.
The person's net worth to no less than $1 million with a target of $10 million. So in our curriculum, we're actually teaching them how they can roadmap to at least $10 million. And then the last is this abstract, arbitrary, foundational knowledge so that people can make better financial decisions. For example, Alex, who taught you when you got your first job? I know you've been self-employed most of your life,
Mm-hmm.
but who taught you the difference between an independent contractor and a W-2 wage earner?
Nobody.
Who taught you
Yeah.
the difference in whole life insurance and term life insurance?
Not a single person. Yeah.
Who taught you the difference in APR and interest rates?
Right.
Who taught you what the Federal Reserve does and how it equates to interest rates?
Right.
I mean, I can keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
So this foundational knowledge is paramount to the execution of all these things that we're teaching here.
And I think it's applicable to anybody, right? Regardless of whether or not people want to make a change, they need to be educated. They need to be aware. And this education is just non-existent, right, in our current system.
Well, it didn't exist for me in high school, and I didn't go to college, but
Right.
the 4 kids I put through college, none of them received this training that we're getting.
Right.
How about you?
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Guess what my kids did after going to college? They called me and asked me what to do. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, fortunately, they had you to answer to. Most people, statistically speaking, their parents aren't knowledgeable in this area.
For sure.
So how do they teach their children financial knowledge?
Yeah, they can't, for the most part. They're limited. They're limited in their perspective and scope. Yeah, for sure.
Very limited.
I can't tell you the number of people that have reached out to me just in the last week and a half asking me what they should do with their business, what they should do with their house. They got some offer on their house and they want to know how to handle it. And the perspectives of people without the knowledge and awareness of the accumulation of assets and quantifying the cost of their assets and the ability to leverage those assets or inability to leverage those assets is so huge. One person called me this week and said, "Hey, I've got an offer on my house. It's 40% down and 60% over a 10-year period with a rate of 4%. So basically almost like a seller held mortgage,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And they said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think that deal is terrible." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, right out of the gate, you're losing, the stock market's returning average of 10, 11%, right? And there are many other investments that are returning that. 4% is probably arguably less than you can get in a short-term CD right now. So you're basically paying them to buy your house. I mean, you're losing a ton of money over a very, very long period of time. That's a horrible deal. I would not do that deal." And they were completely unaware that was a bad deal, right? Trying to make an extra 50,000 or something in the house and losing, several $100,000 over time, at that limited interest rate.
Would you generally say that individual is unaware because most people are unaware about investing?
Right.
Their idea of investing is either buying the house they live in or handing their money
To an investment manager.
to an investment manager.
Yeah.
Okay. That is doing nothing but buying a pile of stocks and bonds. Now, nothing wrong with that.
Putting them in a system that is true of all these other people, right? Not leveraging that money that they put up, not understanding that if they're 25 years old, they need to tell their investment manager, "I want to be more aggressive with my investments," right? I've seen a lot of people with their 401k, they're earning 3-4% a year because they're in bonds or something like that. I'm like, these people are in their early 30s. And I see that and it's very, very confusing to me. But a lot of these are just check boxes, right? When you make that investment, "Hey, I'm going to go to this bank or that bank. Tell me what you're interested in. Oh, do you want to take heavy risk? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Click, I want to be conservative." And then all of a sudden they get put into this model that is horrible for them, right? So it's a lack of awareness. It's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of mentorship. And we're here to solve that problem.
Yeah. So let's, we have plenty of time left, but let's talk about some of yours and my core competencies and the areas that we will be drawing our students into really to learn. And it's not just learn, but it's learn and execute. And I want to stay on this topic because I think this is one of the differentiators of the Wealth Creators Institute that you and I have used money lending, so lending money as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And there are really two sizes to this. In our curriculum, we teach that you can use money lending as a vocation. You can be a mortgage broker. You can open up your own mortgage company. You can open up your own mortgage brokerage firm. I mean, that's a pretty broad statement. So you can just use your time, normal vehicle for making money. Then on the other side, lending out money like you and I do very often, billions of dollars. Money works for us while we're sleeping.
That's exactly right.
Because as they say, money never sleeps.
That's right.
Well, at least I've said that. I'm not sure who said that, but money never sleeps. So there's really there's two approaches to money lending. So in our curriculum, this is just one of those vocational areas that we teach. We will teach you all about money lending, either to do it as an income driver or to do it as an investor.
Right.
Right. And we then can say to the student, look, let us teach you this so that you can learn all you need to learn. And then we will financially back you, right? We can go on to say that we will financially back you either by employing you or partnering with you, or even just financially backing you if you want to go your own way as an entrepreneur. Because this is how we leverage, because leverage is a key principle
Right.
in the wealth creation formula. You and I leverage other people.
That's right.
So really not bullshitting any of our students here, or any listeners or our audience. What we are saying is that we will teach you a core competency around lending, and then we will leverage you and you will leverage us. You think that's a fair way to put it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the access to that model is a very limited capability for most people, right? And in the Wealth Creators platform and system, not only do they get access to a model, but they get access to us and the people in that community that are really, really focused on that and focused on building wealth, which I think you would agree is completely different than if they were to learn lending from, say, a Bank of America or Wells Fargo or some of those folks.
Yes, that's right. And that's the differentiator, Alex, that you just hit the nail on the head. Most people then pay for this education and somehow have to go look for vocation or enterprise.
Right.
What we've done is we said, be part of our community. We will help you create this path, this roadmap, right?
Mm-hmm.
We will give you this roadmap, and we're defining this roadmap as 10 years. Just to be clear to our viewers and listeners, there is no get rich quick, is there? I'm not aware of a get rich quick.
No, outside of inheritance and hitting the lottery, for sure.
That's right. Now, I don't want to say we're get rich slow, but if you want to go the normal plan that your financial advisor will give you, it'll be 40 years before you're wealthy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's also the lack of awareness of how to scale that more quickly is just absent from most financial planners. And in fact, I don't know if you've had this experience, but when I talk to financial planners and I tell them my strategies for leverage and everything else, one, they're confused. They're either confused, they're scared, they don't want any part of it because it doesn't fit in the mold of what their companies are telling them to put their clients into, right? Because what do those companies want to do? They want to mitigate their risk. They want to charge their fees. Those companies are going to earn the same fees whether or not those people scale up very quickly or scale up slowly. The aggregate volume of those people is the same fee structure, right? So clearly, if they take on more risk, then they've got more risk on their side, on the company side, right? So they're going to put folks into a siloed plan that is true of this swath of people and this swath of people. You fill out these check boxes and boom, you go. Now, the other thing is when people take a job as a lender, right, for a Bank of America or something else, Bank of America is not telling them how to leverage and invest that money because Bank of America, I would think, wants to put them in a program where they go down the Bank of America road, right? and become a long-term Bank of America employee. They're making an investment in that employee to make that company money, right? So our focus is not on ourselves. Our focus is on the individuals, right? And scaling their income and scaling their wealth. Yeah. And I think that's quite a bit different than most vocations out there.
Yeah, well said. So in addition to lending, you and I really have been buying real estate our entire adult life. I bought my first rental property at 19.
Me too.
We're similar.
Me too.
We
Yeah.
started building.
Yeah.
And so we love all things real estate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
yeah, we do.
I think you're as maybe more of a real estate junkie than I am, but we love all things real estate. And real estate comes in all shapes and sizes. There's commercial, there's residential. You can build things, you can renovate things, you can buy things, you can sell things, you can rent things.
Mm-hmm.
We can approach it from debt, from equity.
Right.
We also buy for opportunity. Let's call it growth. We also buy for value. So just for our listeners, just to get a sense of how you and I approach it and what we teach, and really how they're going to leverage what we're doing here is growth means that we're going to renovate something or build it, and we're going to create this great value over time. Value means we're buying the dollar at a discount, mm-hmm. which means distress. And in one of our future podcasts, we're going to be talking about distressed debt and market cycles, which is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be talking about that because we're entering as the Fed raised rates here over the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. We're certainly seeing a shift in market cycles. Right. But anyway, getting back to the roadmap. So one of the areas that the Wealth Creators Institute will lean heavily is on real estate acquisitions, real estate knowledge, understanding real estate, whether it's you're just buying your first home and you need to understand how to navigate that, mm-hmm. or whether you want to use real estate as an investment or as a vocation. So anything you want to add to that, Alex, about real estate?
Yeah, and in the most simple terms, right, we've talked about people that if you just take your primary residence and you upgrade that primary residence over time versus staying in the same house in the same location for 30 years, there's a vastly different outcome on the wealth equation, right? So even for somebody that doesn't want to own 10 houses or doesn't want to get involved in development or doesn't want to get involved in renovations, we can show people how they can just use their primary residence, mostly tax-free with the gains, to scale their assets and their net worth over a period of time in a very, very easy, very, very risk-averse way, right? And for those people that are interested in real estate, whether they want transactional value out of the real estate or there's a path where they can invest in rental properties and collect rents to pay those mortgages, leverage those with mortgages and scale those assets over time. There's just a number of areas that people can utilize within our approach, within our strategy to build wealth. And we're uniquely qualified to advise them on how to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Not only do we want to teach our students, but after they learn from us, again, we're talking potentially up to a year of learning.
Right.
We're then going to say to them, look, go apply what you just learned and let us mentor you. Let us help you. Let us maybe invest in the property with you. Let us evaluate the asset with you so you don't make a mistake. I mean, so we want to see our student execute.
We do.
So it's the application of what they learn.
And not only that, we're willing to put up money to help them execute, right? Which is a pretty big difference.
Yeah. So it's learning and then applying.
Right.
And really measuring and making sure that this process of learning is not just, because we're asking our students to write a check to invest in their education.
Yeah.
And then we're asking them to invest in time.
Right.
Well, it has to produce a result.
Yeah.
And our only measure is really whether they produce a successful result.
That's exactly right.
The rest is just minutia. It's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
You got to produce the end result. So for the students that are interested in lending, in real estate, entrepreneurship, we're a great place for them to go.
Right.
What else do you think would be good for listeners or viewers to hear about this community of ours that we're building? I mean, we have I mean, we're not allowed to talk about, for regulatory reasons. We have the SEC and FINRA.
Yeah.
We're really not allowed to go into the other businesses that we're involved in that are regulated.
Mm-hmm.
But we are around a lot of multimillionaires. I mean, hundreds of them. But many of them are available for mentorship through our community.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, a lot of these folks have been in various industries and have leveraged the principles that we teach to scale their income and to scale their assets. And that community of mentors is available to all of our students. And we will likely take a student and say, and recognize a skill, and then recognize a mentor with the same skill and pair those folks together, right?
Yeah.
And so the access to this community of people is a very, very limited access thing. And it's just a great thing for the community to be able to put these successful folks out there and provide that level of mentorship that these folks would never have access to. So I think that's a big benefit of the program.
Wouldn't it be safe to say that we are a community of millionaires teaching individuals that are looking to become millionaires?
Yes.
You know, it's not really about the money you accumulate. That, you know, I don't want any of our viewers or listeners, and because I know Alex very well, you know, the definition of success has nothing to do with money, right? It's really who you become and how many people you help and the lives you impact. And for me, and I know for you, Alex, how many people around us, because of our financial capacity, have we been able to help because of medical reasons, education issues,
right?
People that are going through some very difficult times. Well, if we weren't able to create some level of accumulation of monetary wealth, we would not have been able to help people. So I think that the motivation to impact as many lives as possible in a great way is really powerful.
I agree, and to your point, it's not the measure of success is not just the monetary piece, but that having monetary success gives you the tools and the capabilities to help a tremendous number of people, and that's what we're trying to do with this community, and that's the life that we've led up to this point. And we have other millionaires that call us all the time and asking us for advice, right? And that kind of creates the proof of concept for this community, right? You've got various people that have been successful in various fields that are working together to try to help other people achieve a level of success, and thereby helping the entire community, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, and I think for the listeners and the viewers to understand, we're not giving directional financial advice, really. You know, we're not going to sit here and say, oh, buy this company stock.
For sure.
Or we're not doing that. What we are doing is giving awareness, creating knowledge, giving people a platform to learn, helping them make the right choice for themselves, and to help create a better financial self.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah. There's no single path, right, for folks. And so what's right for one person is not right for another person. Right. And so that is a huge difference, I think, in our community, in our platform, that we recognize that people's strengths are different. We recognize that people's risk tolerances are different. And by giving folks access to the information that we have and the platforms that we have, they can choose what's right for themselves with our guidance and support. And no different than if somebody went and worked for Jamie Dimon and he was giving them, some advice, right? So it's a very, very similar thing, because we want everybody to be successful. And to your earlier point, if people aren't benefiting, that's not going to make us happy. So we're going to do everything we can to help benefit.
Exactly.